Hello, this video is identifying different soul groups on the earth. I think that would be a fun exercise for like a new ager to do, is to try to maybe even write a book, and maybe there even was a book written by it, but trying to identify different groups that are on the earth, different religious groups, political groups of people, and attaching them to various soul groups and trying to give them a soul group history. Because as we know, there are lots of different soul groups on the earth right now who come from different places, especially recently because we have the 6 billion, and then just a few years ago we only had like a few million. So, you know, souls are coming from somewhere, and so we're getting people from all over, all kinds of weird people coming here, being humans. And we do have like different soul groups from the stories of the Ra of 1, Bashar, and yeah, everybody. So you've got so basically I'm going to talk about what I think about it. So let's talk about the soul groups first, and then I'm going to talk about who they are here on Earth. Soul group, and I've done this video actually a couple years ago, but you know, it was a couple years ago, and I think I can do a better job this time. First soul group, you have the traditional human being. Okay. These are the people who have lived on this earth since the beginning, who were here back when there were only a few million people here. Those are the humans. Those are the people who lived on Maldek, which is the asteroid belt between Jupiter and Mars. And they had a nuclear war thanks to a bunch of these other evil aliens who came and fucked everything up. And they blew up their planet and turned it into an asteroid belt. Their souls got... Now, they were pretty... They were like human beings, you know, pretty far along, doing okay. They would have been able to, you know, graduate to a utopian society. Whoa, I should not eat. Sorry about that. So then they had to reincarnate on Mars to try and finish up their third dimensional, you know, get their shit together on Mars. And I think in Maldek they pretty much got to about where we are now, and then they got the nuclear wars, you know, the potential of what we could be doing now, and what a lot of people expect that to happen to us here. Then they moved to Mars. Mars had the same kinds of problems. They just basically redid the whole problems on Mars, and that's why Mars is known as the planet of war, or the god Mars is known as the god of war, because they were very warlike and they had the war problem. And I think that's where the various different Martian, where Cydonia comes from, the artifacts on Mars. And although Dan Burish said that Kyle, the gray alien, told him that that's actually from humans from the future, and we're looking at Mars from the future on a superimposed parallel universe. But anyways, yeah, so they had problems, so they pretty much, their karma invited and maybe it was aliens who steered it in, who knows, but they had a close flyby of a comet, probably one of the comets of Maldek, that got banged into another one and shot out a sphere, and their karma, their evil karma, invited this thing to come by and got too close to their whatchamacallit, their planet, took away all of their atmosphere, and then after that happened, meteorites were allowed to fly through and hit Mars, and then it killed all their atmosphere, and the planet died. So then they had to reincarnate on Earth. They had to have take 3 on Earth, but they needed human bodies to be able to live here, and there were no human bodies. There were just there were 8 people. There were the Homo erectus, and that's when the Anunnaki and these other aliens, and maybe because the Anunnaki, they wanted to have their own soul group to reincarnate on Earth. You know, or at least relatives of their soul group to reincarnate on Earth. So they created Homo sapien 250,000 years ago, and so that's when those people were allowed to live here. And so then we lived as Homo sapien here until now. And those are the soul group of human beings. Now out of the 6 billion people who live on the Earth today, you know, how many millions of people, I don't know, 100 million people or something, are traditional human beings. And I think those are the people who are the ones who are kind of mainstream first world. human beings. Now, when I say mainstream first world, you know, if you look at the religious statistics on my website, you'll see that 90% of Americans are like fundamentalist Christians. I'd like to put that up on my wall. I tried to download it on my computer yesterday. I wonder if it went. I should see. But yeah, I think those are going to be the traditional human who lived on Maldek, Mars, and then lived here for 250,000 years are going to be like the traditional the fundamentalist Christians, and then the atheists. I think fundamentalist Christians and atheists are pretty similar as far as soul group goes, even though they wouldn't admit it. Of the first world, like 100 million or so, whatever was living on the earth since then, or actually more than that, maybe 3 billion, because, you know, out of all the traditional human beings who have lived here, you have people die, and then other souls come in and live for a while, and then you would come and live again after like being gone, because time doesn't really exist when you're in spirit world, so they could be gone between lives like 500 years, and then you'd live a life again, you know. And so like you only would have lived maybe like a couple dozen lives on this earth over the last thousands of years, you know, or since the time of Jesus, only like 5 lives or something, you know, because there's only like 33 generations between us and Jesus anyway. But so yeah, that's going to be the traditional human being. Fundamentalist Christian, like I would say, like mainly Republican, like people who you know, traditional people who like go to work, they have the 3.5 kids in the house, and then you're gonna have, and then the other soul group are like third worlder people. Now I think these are people who when this planet gets to the utopian levels of, you know, the graduation and the utopian next dimension where we can all have like traditional technology and or higher technology and telepathic communication and all that, and our population drops down to 500 million people. Those people who are living in the third world now, really poor, you know, like, I think those people are going to reincarnate on another planet, or maybe even an Earth in a parallel universe that remains the way that the Earth was, has been for a really long time. And I'm not saying maybe like even like the way ours was in the past, where you had like you know, kings and a lot of suppression and serfdom and all that. Maybe they'll just go back to just a traditional agrarian, kind of even utopian, you know, like hunter-gatherer type of society, you know, the way that native people lived. They're going to go and live in that for a long time, and until they have like their next age of graduation transformation, where they're going to invent stuff and get the technology. So that's going to be another, I think, now I know like a lot of the third world people, really poor third world people like in Africa and stuff, are happen to be dark colored skin, like black people, brown people and stuff. So I'm not saying that like, because they are younger souls right now, but I'm not saying that they're younger souls because like the black color skin is more prone to inviting in a younger soul person. It just happens to be that black color skin people live in Africa, and the situation of them living there is going to invite a younger soul to come and live there. I don't think there's any genetic difference between black people and white people. I don't think they're you know, whites are smarter genetically. The black people who are doing quite well in America their souls are the same souls as their white counterparts. They just happen to be in black skin. They're just born into a black body, and it doesn't make any difference. So that's the other soul group. So they're pretty much like not really going to be that interested in all of this like new agey stuff, they're only going to be interested in just like, they're going to be perfectly happy just hunting and gathering and living a simple life. You know, they definitely, they deserve us to administer their needs, give them clean water and hook them up with free solar panels so they can have energy, and give them the opportunity to have computers and learn whatever they want to learn, but not to be like frustrated if they're not interested in anything beyond watching the latest Rihanna video or you know, really deep philosophical stuff until the world population gets to a manageable, sustainable level, and then those countries start to attain our level of technology. Then the people who were born into those same bodies, you know, the same lineage, genetic lineage, those souls who get born into them are going to be old souls. So, but it's just that once our population goes down, the souls who are living now in those countries are going to be reborn someplace else. So, you know, that's not to say that don't like in 50 years, don't expect poor African tribesmen to not be interested in science and philosophy and inventing stuff and all that. They're going to be just as intelligent as us and just as interested as anybody in the world. We're all going to be a first world country, and we're all races are going to, you know, it's just that now with all of this population explosion, the people who are living there now, that's just the other soul group. So you have the traditional human, and then you have that soul group. There's new soul groups who are like maybe even like animals in their last life. It's like their first life as an animal or something. And maybe that's why we have a lot of crime in those countries. It's just young souls being crazy, you know, being human for the first time and like acting like animals, you know, shooting down the Janjaweeds or the Janjaweed shooting down the Southern Sudanians and all that kind of stuff. They're just animals in human bodies. So that's the second soul group. Now the third soul group is going to be the wanderers, the people who like to travel around and like check out really weird like situations and planets and try to act as catalysts to bring those planets into new awakening. Now those people are the hippies. I think the hippies could be born if they wanted to in like a utopian world and like alien planets like the Pleiades, where they already have spaceships and they're humans like us. But I think that's basically what hippies are. Like if you go to a utopian alien planet like a Pleiadian planet, it's going to be a bunch of hippies. It's going to remind you of hippies dressed in spandex. You know, they're going to have like the crystal jewelry on. They're going to be like bowing to each other, speaking very softly, you know, walking around naked, having morning time food circles and singing songs of love and doing yoga and out there like mountain biking and growing their own plants and acting like hippies, man. That's what I think hippies are. Hippies are the people who, and also New Agers. So I guess that would, I guess I'm saying, even though it's going to sound egotistical, I guess I'm saying that I'm one of those people who, a wanderer who could, because the fact of the matter is that if you focus on, and if you think about everything that you do in life, you think that you believe that it's gonna make the world a better place, and you totally welcome that kind of celebration of love and diversity and peace and all that stuff open-heartedly and open-handedly. It's because that's what's familiar to you and that's what you cherish. If you focus on demons and devils and hellfire and all that stuff, that's what you think about and that's what you cherish. Now, the reason that I think that the traditional human being it's gonna be who's lived here forever and who are the ones who lived on Mars, and now of course this is all like, there's a very shady area between all these different soul groups. Like, I'm sure you know, maybe I'm hippie soul group and I've lived an alien planet, but I'm also human, you know. I've also lived a few lives as a human, and I've also lived a few lives on Mars, and I was one of the guys who like flew the plane to like drop the bomb on Marduk, and stuff. Oh shit, out of time.